Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming to the session. I'm going to talk about Antrea and NSX and why it's important for you to run them together and why they perform better together. A disclaimer, although there's no roadmap items here, this is our agenda. What is Antrea? Why should you run Antrea together with NSX? How do you install them and integrate them? And a demo and the benefits of running them together. So what is Antrea? If you've never heard of Antrea, Antrea is a CNI. It is a CNCF sandbox project. So it's a totally open source CNI. It's a VMware project. It's totally developed by VMware. It's available to run in any Kubernetes distribution. It's based on OVS, and you can run it literally in whichever Kubernetes distribution that you want. In whatever environment that you have, it's available to be integrated wherever you need. And why should you want to run it and integrate it with NSX? So this is our vision. Our vision is, since you already have these containers, you might have it running in your VMware physical infrastructure or your VMware infrastructure. And what we see is you might have NSX doing your networking for your VMs, your underlying networking infrastructure. And the CNIs, what you have in the Kubernetes clusters, you will have a different networking and policy view. In NSXT, for the VMs, it will have a different view. So if we can bring this single pane of glass view for both networking and policy, this is what the integration of Antrea with NSX can bring us. So the vision is bringing together one single view of both policy for security and visibility, network visibility, in a single pane of glass. So that's where the NSX manager comes in. So when we integrate this, we will do this and bring a single pane of glass. Why Antrea? Why do we do this with Antrea? So Antrea has something that's very interesting, which is the Kubernetes policy. So Kubernetes network policy is very limited in terms of security. This is what comes with out of the box in Kubernetes. This is what you can do in terms of security. It's very limited. You don't have deny rules. And Antrea network policy works on that, and you can do lots more. You have tiers. You can do deny rules. You can sort your rules. So you can do policies that are a lot more granular and lots of more control. Another thing that you can do is the Kubernetes network policies. They are applied, your developer usually applies them using YAML files, but you have many different personas, security personas. So you can have, for example, VI admins administering, they already maybe administering the NSX. You have security admins that can manage different types of rules. You can have, for example, the app developer administering how the app flows, the security policies inside the app, but you can have a security admin managing other policies. And Antrea enables you to have these different types of policy all managed under a single pane of glass, all under the NSX. So this is our view. How can you achieve this? So to achieve this, this is how you install. So once you have NSX and you have a Kubernetes cluster that is running Antrea, and you want to do this integration, you want to have this Kubernetes cluster talk with NSX, this is what you have to do. First thing, to prepare the installation, you have to reinstall a pod in the Antrea cluster, and it needs to talk to the NSX API. To do this, we need to generate a certificate so that the Antrea pod can talk to NSX. These are the steps: generate a self-signed certificate, and create what we call the principal identity in the NSX manager so that we will be able to authenticate against the NSX manager. That's the screen. So how we create this principal identity. Once we do that, we go to the VMware site, download the bits called Antrea Internetworking, and we have to edit two files, interworking.yaml and deregister.yaml, and just put the image that's available in our public registry. And then we get the bootstrap-config YAML file, and there are just 4 lines of config that you have to edit. Put your cluster name, your NSX manager IPs, and the certificate files that you just created. With that, all you have to do is apply that YAML file, that bootstrap config. If you do that, your Kubernetes cluster will talk to NSX, and you will start seeing in NSX lots of things. What will you be able to do in NSX? You will be able to have visibility. So all the inventory, everything that's going on, all you have in your Kubernetes clusters, you will see. You can have 1, 2, 3. You can have OpenShift. You can have Tanzu. You can have vanilla Kubernetes. You'll see them. Your inventory, services, pods, namespaces, everything. You'll have tools, troubleshooting tools. For example, we have Traceful, which is a tool that you can trace the path from communication. I'm going to show a demo video that will show me using the troubleshooting tool, the Traceful. You can create security policies. So you can create, using the distributed firewall from NSX, you create a security policy that applies to pods. And we can also use support. So it's supported by VMware, and you can create support bundles, and VMware will help you in supporting the policy and networking inside the Kubernetes cluster. So this is a quick video that I made. Let me play it. So what I have here is the inventory. So I have 2 clusters. I can see both of these clusters are running Antrea. And we can see there's these containers, all the namespaces, the pods, the services. I have an inventory view of everything that is running. If I want to create a rule, a security rule, a policy, I can create a new group, an object for my firewall. So I have an application called Yelp that I'm running, and I can now create, appears the Antrea, and I have a criteria. I can create it from namespaces, services, or pod. So I'm creating a new group called Yelp UI, so that every pod that is called Yelp, that has a tag called Yelp UI, will be member of this group called Yelp UI. Now what will I do? I will go to the distributed firewall, which works for VMs and now works for container clusters. And I have this rule that is applied. It was not work. I just enabled the rule that the destination to the app server, I just enabled it. I'm going to show what's going to happen. The Yelp app, this is the Yelp app. It's working. If I vote, you will see that it's working because I just created the UI talks to the app server. So what do I have to do? I have to apply, if I apply this drop rule to the UI group, what will happen? The UI will not be able to talk to the app server, to the app tier, and it will break my application. So if I just applied it, if I refresh my application, I can't vote. It just broke my application. So I just, using the distributed firewall, I applied Antrea policies. And now I can troubleshoot. What happened to my application? I can do the trace flow that's available for VMs. I can do it with Antrea trace flow. My application uses TCP. This is the port number that the UI uses to talk to the app server. So all I have to do is select my pods. So Yelp app server, that's the pod, the UI talking to the app server, and I ask it to run. When it runs the trace flow, it tells me it's dropped by the cluster policy. If I click it, it'll tell me which is the network policy ID. I can search. I love this search function in NSX. You can search for anything. You can search for an inventory. You can search for whatever you want. It will show you which is the network policy. You click on it. It will show you what is the rule, the part number that it is. This is the rule number. Then you can go in the rule, and then you can see what rule is blocking that traffic. If I see here, it's rule 1006, as you saw. So I can simply change it to allow. If I do a retrace, it should change. Delivered in my application should not work. This is what I had to show you. If you please take the survey. Thank you very much. Yes?